Alright, let's be real. Content creation can be really hard. It can be stressful and almost downright depressing to try and keep up with the never-ending content machine, and especially when you're doing it alone. And we hear a lot about toxic productivity and the strategy of just working harder. But in my experience, working harder is not usually the only solution. While there is merit to working hard, I always remember that productivity is not measured by how much you worked, but by how much you were able to get done. So with that in mind, I developed a system for myself that helped me create over a month's worth of content within the span of just a few days. Hopefully, this could help you too. So without further ado, let's get into it. So if you don't know, my name is Ryan Pierce and I run a media agency where I create content for a bunch of different brands and entrepreneurs, and I do this mostly for social media, but it can be really daunting because I have to make a lot of content. It can be hard for me to juggle creating so much content a month for different brands, and to be honest with you, it was really too much for me in the beginning. I was just barely struggling to not drown in all the work, and sometimes I really was drowning, just not saying anything about it. But through all of that, it was able to help me to come up with some strategies and some systems so that I don't burn out. And ultimately, there's one system that I use as the backbone of my entire strategy, and it has 3 steps to it. So the 3 steps to this system are brainstorming, building, and boosting. Once I separated the work into these 3 B's, as I like to call it, I was able to skyrocket my productivity, and I was able to do it in less time and really seemingly with less work to do. It didn't feel like I was burned out as much. When I started, I was just creating one piece of content all the way through and then moving on to the next. And that is really slow and it stops you from getting into a flow state. But this system of batching things is how I was able to get a lot more done. And let me explain how I did that. So let's start with the first step, brainstorming. The brainstorming step is just what it sounds like. It's where you brainstorm all of the content that you're about to create for the month or the week or however you want to segment this out. So for some clients, I am provided with their content already, and for some, I might have to make the content myself. And either way though, what I'm going to do is research a lot of the trends that I want to follow this month, the topics I want to talk about this month, and if I have the content, I'm going to go over all the content and pull out the best parts of it that I can use to create something that's cohesive. This is the section where you're thinking about clips, post ideas, topics to talk about. You can even start thinking about, captions, how you want to caption these things and your release strategy. This is what you're brainstorming. This is the part where you want to get super creative and you're thinking about, what am I going to create? What do I want to put out into the world this month? And the key to this is all you do. I take an entire day just to brainstorm, and I write out a bunch of ideas until I have a month's worth. In fact, I usually have over a month's worth because I want to have more than enough, just in case maybe later I don't like one of these ideas. And usually that is the case. Usually I have one of the ideas that I was like, that's great, and then I come back to it and I'm like, I don't really like that. But because I have more than enough ideas, I'm just like, yeah, we'll just cut that one out. I'm gonna go to the next one. So you're just brainstorming a bunch of ideas. Take the whole day to do this because brainstorming is more draining than you think. And I used to brainstorm and then film all in the same day, but that is never a good strategy. You always want to have your script before you start making the movie. So then, now that we've brainstormed, let's move on to the next section, which is building. Building is really the production stage. This is where you're going to actually be filming the content. And this is the stage where you really want to have the most focus on just creating the best product that you can. I look at it this way. I come from the film world, and in the film world, you want to write your script all the way, and then once you're on set, you want to just be shooting. You never want to be on set of a movie thinking, oh man, so what's the next part that's going to happen? What's next? What am I going to do for the story? No, you already have the story. Now you're just focused on how am I going to tell that story. I have my ideas that I brainstormed into bullet points, right? That's what I like to do. And I'm gonna take my bullet points and I'm gonna say, okay, what is the best way for me to get this across? Am I gonna be more energetic? Am I gonna be more calm? Am I gonna make sure to use a lot of visual imagery? Do I want any stories to tell? Do I have any that relate to this? These are the things that I'm thinking about in the production phase. And then once I get on camera, I just wanna make sure that I'm as natural as can be. I don't wanna rush myself. I usually take an entire day for this, like completely, because this is the most stressful part for me. I'm an introvert. It's not natural for me to just, talk on camera. It feels a bit weird. So I have to really prepare myself for it. I give myself like way more time than I need. If I only need to shoot a 5-minute video, I block out like 2 hours of my day just to do that because I know how stressful it is. If that's what you need, then that's what you need. If you're more natural at it, then you know what you need. But the key is to just make sure you don't want to rush this. You want to make sure that you're just focused on, okay, let's get this video right. Let's make sure that the actual content is right. This is the only part that I can't go back and change. So make sure that you brainstorm really well so that once you're shooting, you're not thinking about, what am I going to say? You're only thinking, how do I say this? And then finally, we have the boosting process. Now, boosting, I really use the word because I needed this all to go with the bees. I love alliteration, so I had to do it. But really, it's just post-production. It's editing. But it's a little more than that. It's post-production and it's your marketing strategy. So you're gonna edit the video, right? You have the product. Now you cut it up, cut out all of the fat. If you have to question whether or not it's necessary, it's better to cut it than to leave it. That's my strategy. You also are looking to think of your thumbnails and your video titles for sure, and the hashtags or tags that you're going to use and how you're going to market this thing. I'm thinking of a marketing strategy while I'm also editing at the same time. This is almost brainstorming at the end. You brainstormed before what you're going to do. Now that you've already done it, you can look back and say, okay, well, things might have not gone perfect, but with what I have, what's the best I can make with this? And sometimes it might turn out better than you ever expected it to. So for instance, with me, with one client, I filmed a video that I thought was just going to be, a YouTube video that was 10 minutes, but it turns out there was a lot more in that. I was able to turn it into a Facebook ad. We were able to convert that into a reel, and we were even able to take some quotes for it and turn it into like infographics and stuff. And that's why this strategy is so powerful to me, because when you're able to batch these things into 3 different sections, you're able to create way more than you ever thought you could, and you have a different perspective than when you're just so stuck in your head on getting it done fast, which is actually slowing you down. For me, I like to separate each one of these processes into an entire day. The brainstorming process is an entire day, filming the video is an entire day, and then editing it is also an entire day. And you may need more than that. Sometimes I need more than that. If it's a complex or long video, I might need multiple days to edit. So I'm not saying you have to do all of these in one day, but I'm saying don't try to do them all together. Separate them as much as you possibly can so that you're not thinking about what you're doing, what you're about to do while you're doing it. There's a saying in the film world that there are really 3 different stories that you get when you make a movie. You get the story that the writer told, you get the story that the director told, and you get the story that the editor told, and that's the one that everyone sees. But each one is equally as important. And that's really what this whole strategy is about. Separating your whole process into a writer, director, and editor's process. So that's what you're trying to do. Separate these processes so that you have that perspective of each different storyteller being the best that they can. Even though those storytellers are just you, you're still 3 different storytellers in one person. I hope you liked this video. Please subscribe if you did, and make sure to like the video if you liked the video. Good luck, keep creating, keep doing your thing. I'll see you next time. Peace.